We are meant to call from out of the past stories, strange and weird.
Tales of mystery and terror by radio's masters of the macabre.
Stories of the supernatural, the supernormal, dramatizing the fantasy, the mystery, the unknown. We tell you this frankly, so if you wish to avoid the excitement and tension of these imaginary plays, we urge you calmly and sincerely to turn off your radio now.
This is The Horror. Welcome back. Thanks for joining me once again. We'll hear this week from The Devil and Mr. O, a series of 26 episodes that were rebroadcasts of Lights Out. The series was first heard from May to October of 1970. Our story today is from July 26th, 1970. It's titled Live Forever.
Lights out for the Devil and Mr. O. It is later than you think. Turn out your lights now. We bring you stories of the supernatural and the supernormal, dramatizing the fantasies and the mysteries of the unknown. We tell you this frankly so that if you wish to avoid the excitement and tension of these imaginative plays, we urge you calmly but sincerely to turn off your radio now. This is Mr. O. Arch Over. Who among us, you, I, has not said at some time or other, if I wouldn't die, if I could live forever? Well, that's the play I've written for you. Live Forever. And it begins after a mortal message from your station.
I started playing music in 26. It was a settlement house. I was very young and very small, and they gave me an E-flat clarinet.
America's King of Swing, Benny Goodman, for music in our schools.
But I do think to have a knowledge of music does something very important for them, even if they don't use it as a profession. Gives them a greater outlook on associated arts, whether it's painting, whether it's sculpture, nature, anything. And to have the pleasure of listening to music all through your life, one of the nicest things that can happen to somebody, if they take advantage of it.
Help all our children to take advantage of music. Support music in your schools. A message from the Music Educators National Conference. And now, if you haven't already done so, turn off your lights and listen to Live Forever.
Now, don't be frightened, Joan. Please, don't be. Yes, I know I screamed, but don't be afraid for me. I'm all right, really, I am. No, don't say anything. Just listen. The reason that I screamed, it made me happy.
Oh, what are you...
Oh, I know it sounds confused, but I can tell you freely now for the first time since I've known you.
Tell me what?
About what happened. Tell you about myself, and then you'll understand, and then we'll both be happy. Remember, you once said you never could be happy with me.
Oh, please.
Oh, please, don't say anything. If you do, I'll want to hold you in my arms. And I've got to talk this thing out first. Talk it out from the time before I knew you until a few moments ago when I screamed and frightened you. You know, you were right. I've been a coward. But not of men, or things, or living. Just of not living. You don't know what I mean, do you? Must I say it? Must I say the word? All right, I will. I've been afraid of death. Yes, believe me, Joan, all my life it was that way. Even as a boy, I couldn't be happy because of him. So one thought was in me all through life. If I could only live forever, if I wouldn't die, if I could only live forever. The thought chasing itself in a never-ending circle. So there was no happiness, And the fear in me was in my face and in my work, and you knew it, and everyone knew it, but they didn't know why.
No.
Tonight, the echo that is still in my ears, I cried out in fear in front of everyone. And I'm going to tell you why I cried out, and then you'll understand me, and why I say I'm free and happy for the first time in my life. And, Joan, if it's too strange to believe, just listen patiently. We were sitting in the auditorium, you and I, the politician up on the stage talking.
In this coming election, I repeat again, the issue will be clear. An issue made clear by our glorious party. You young men and women...
Sitting there, you next to me, I wasn't listening to him on the stage. I was thinking the same infernal thoughts I thought all my life whenever I was alone.
I say to all of you
Of him.
Here, that it is a challenge to you.
And then...
Yes, to youth. To every one of you here. A challenge that we must accept, face and challenge in turn.
Speaker's voice wasn't the same.
It is so close to
I looked up. No, not the same.
And act brave.
The other one an old man, this one young. Couldn't quite see his face, so dark in the hall. Had something happened to the lights? I turned to her. You said, Joan, when did the lights... I stopped. You weren't there. Believe me, not there. Another woman.
Did you speak to me?
She said that. I said, where's Joan?
Joan?
Well, she was sitting right next to me. You have her chair. Where did she... I mean, the young lady who was sitting here, where did she go?
I've been here for hours.
But she was here. Here, I tell you.
Quiet, the speaker.
The time is past for pleadings. The time is past for petitions. We are representative of youth, and youth is the time for action. So we must act.
The speaker? What did he matter? I sat there, couldn't figure it out. You, Joan, where had you gone? Could I have dozed off and you slipped out and this other woman taken your place? Yet, how strange you're leaving without a word. And then, wind. Wind in the auditorium. I looked up. The sky. No roof. A single star and clouds. No roof. Sleep? No, awake. I got up to go.
No, sit down. No one can leave.
But my friend...
You have sworn to stay. You must.
I sat down. Sworn to stay? What in the world... I sat down.
You know there can be no compromise. There will be no compromise. For if we compromise, we are doomed as they have always doomed us.
Speaker, what did he matter? No roof on the place. Crazy. How could a roof disappear in a moment without... I said to the girl, where's the roof? What's happened to this place? Where are we?
You know.
No. What? Well, I'd get out of the place. I'd find you, Joan. Started to go again, but the girl's hand tight on my wrist.
No, don't. You swore to stay.
Swore?
You swore. They swore. He speaks the truth.
But what?
Listen.
Good then now, good friends. Let us put an end to words. This meeting of ours was destined. For 500 years destined.
What was he saying? For 500 years destined? For what?
None of us can say we have moved quickly. For in the meditation of these 500 years has come the essence of truth. A truth that burns bright in the hearts of all of us.
What kind of a political speech was that?
And so an end to words. In this meeting we have spoken words which none dare question. Now the time has come for action which none dare deny us.
The girl leaned close and whispered.
None dare deny us.
Deny us? Deny what? Wanted to yell out just the way I did a few moments ago, but I couldn't. Something about the place, the speaker, people around me. I could only sit there. Questions pounding in my head.
Youth is action. Action is youth. We will act together and make ourselves a new world. A better world. Our world.
Meeting over. Everyone getting up. The girl said...
Come with me.
Where?
You know.
I know. Crowd pressing around me. Dark, strange faces. Young, angry faces. None of my friends. My friends? Where were they? Joan, where were you? The auditorium in ruins. As she led me out, I saw that. It was madness. Yet a strangely intriguing madness, so I walked with her. Led me through a door. I could hear voices. She said...
Stand here a moment. I want to talk to you. Tell me, why do you act so strangely? Don't you want to go through with it?
Through with what?
There. That's what I mean. You talk as if you don't know.
I couldn't speak. Stood there.
It's a glorious morning for all of us. We've waited 500 years, some of us, for this.
500 years? What was she... I said... 500 years?
Well, perhaps not you, but I've waited 350 myself.
What did you say?
350 years, and now I can't wait another moment. The thought of another empty day suffocates me.
Am I insane or you?
Insane? I don't know the word.
Out of your head. You or I?
You are a strange one, and yet you came here. Why?
Well, to hear a speech?
So, to hear but not to act, eh? You will. You will. All of us will.
And then the moonlight from under a cloud, and then her face. I saw her face clearly for the first time. Hers was a loveliness beyond the word. 16, 17, she couldn't have been more. Freshness of the morning. And yet her eyes, old, bright, wise, so strange, her old eyes in that young face. I stood there, staring at her.
I tell you this, if one of us fails, we all fail, and that can't happen. Remember that. Now come, they're waiting.
Followed her. A room, quite dark. Many people in it.
Quiet, please, quiet. There is little time to waste. We will now draw lots. Each of you take a paper as the box is passed. Most of the slips are blank. Only 24 are numbered. Whoever draws a numbered slip stays. The others go.
Slips? Draw lots? What was this? Draw lots for what? Someone came close, held out a box. The girl said...
Take a paper.
I did. She did. The others did. She said...
Look at the slip.
I did. A number, 11. She said...
Good. I, too.
Held out the paper in her hand. I saw the number 12 on it.
You and I. You and I.
She and I what?
All those without numbers leave. All those without numbers leave.
The push of bodies around me. And in a moment, there were only a few left. The girl at my side, motionless.
Now we can risk lights.
And in a moment, lights began to glow. I stood there blinking, and then I saw 24 people in that room, men and women. 24, I counted them, and all of them looked alike. Yes, alike, I tell you, men and women. And their faces as the girls. 24 faces alike as copies of pictures strung along the wall. They, in turn, were staring at me.
Who is he?
A voice said.
Who is he?
Another said.
No, I've never seen him before. Who is he?
They came close around me.
Not one of us. Who is he?
Who is he?
Not one of us. One of us.
All those faces alike, staring, talking, staring, talking. The girl spoke. I knew it was she because her hand was on my arm.
Leave him alone. He is an Atavar.
An Atavar.
Oh, an Atavar.
Oh,
Atavar? What was an Atavar? I wanted to speak, but she spoke.
He'll be all right. I'll see to that.
But an Atavar is unpredictable.
But I tell you, he'll be with me. He drew 11. I drew 12. He'll be with me.
But they're undependable, you know that. Never can tell about an Atavar.
But I'll take care of him. I'll take care of him.
They stood there arguing about me, Joe. Yes, arguing about me. Whether I could, whether I would, whether I was reliable, unreliable. And always that word, Atavar. Atavar? Atavar? Mad dreams or mad adventure, whatever it was, I didn't know. Their argument stopped. Apparently, the girl had won. The leader said,
All right, Atavar. You'll be with her. Now, all of you listen. This Atavar is with us, and with us he'll stay until it's ended.
Ended? Ended? What had begun and what would end?
One question, Atavar. What is your age?
My age? You want to know my age?
Well, didn't you hear, Atavar? What is your age?
The girl said...
Tell him.
My age is 25.
What did you say?
25.
Do not joke. Tell us your age.
I told you, 25. For a moment, no one spoke. They looked at each other, shook their heads slowly, shoulders shrugged.
An Atavar, just an Atavar.
The girl said...
Don't worry, any of you. I'll take care of him. He'll do as he's told.
Do as he's told? Do what? Told her to what? I wanted to open my mouth. Then I didn't, because the leader said...
All right. Our last word. There are 24 of you. 12 pairs. Each pair will go out together. If one fails, the other will succeed.
But when?
Now, at once. We have waited long enough for them. I alone have waited 400 years.
I 200.
300. I 425.
25. 300.
I understood. Like a blow on the head, I understood. These people, mad. Yes, that was it. Talking of living hundreds of years. Out of their heads, all of them. Listening to them, I knew that.
340 years.
I've waited 170 years.
And that explained the likeness of their faces. Some sort of weird interbreeding of a family resulting in feeble-mindedness. Well, how did I come among them? Went outside. The girl with me. Everyone going off in pairs. Their faces tense, angry, going off to some strange madness. The girl said,
Wait here. I'll get what we need, then we'll keep our appointment. Wait here.
Joan, believe me, as she went off into the darkness, leaving me there alone, I swear my head was spinning as if it were on a pivot. And as it spun, the thoughts in my head spun with it.
Madness, dream, madness, dream, madness, dream, madness, dream, madness, dream, madness, dream.
What was happening to me?
Madness.
And then a thought.
Madness, dream.
Had what I'd feared all my life happened at last?
Madness,
Had I died?
We leave our The Devil and Mr. O story of Live Forever for a short message.
You'll probably hear a lot of charity commercials this year asking you for money. They'll all be for worthy causes. But unless a disease touches you personally, or unless you realize how serious it is, you tend to think of it as just another charity. Now, there's one disease that everyone's heard of, but very few people realize how serious it is. The fact is, this disease afflicts 8 million Americans. The fact is, it kills more people each year than automobile accidents. The fact is, it's the fourth major health problem in the United States, so that's not just another charity. The sad thing is, we have some of the answers for this disease, but we just don't have the money to use them. Do we have to wait until someone close to you gets kidney disease before you begin to take it seriously? Kidney disease is not just another charity. It's the fourth major cause of death in this country. This is Charlton Heston asking you to support the National Kidney Foundation, Box 353, New York, New York.
Now back to our The Devil and Mr. O story of Live Forever.
Dead. 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 Dead.
Joan.
Dead.
I remember the wind suddenly was cold about me.
Dead.
But I was
Dead.
colder. Dead? Was I? And then someone was standing by me. Not the girl, but a man. Smooth, young, handsome face with those old, wise eyes looking at me. He said,
You have not started yet, Atavar.
No.
Strange, I've never seen you before. There are so few Atavars. You know, generally they are not permitted to develop.
And looking at him, I knew I was alive. Of course. And dream? This was no dream.
Yes, there are so few Atavars.
I said, Atavar? Atavars? What the devil are Atavars?
You are a strange one.
Well, tell me, what are Atavars? Why call me an Atavar?
Well, because you are. You're not like us, you know. You are a throwback to the individualistic, unconditioned, embryonic development.
What?
But then, of course, you don't understand, do you? No, an Atavar wouldn't.
Well, tell me.
It is strange that they should have permitted you to develop and not to have explained to you the difference.
What difference? What?
Once in every 2,000 births, and that means once in every 2,000 years, we don't have many new ones in this world, you know, something happens in the incubation process, and instead of one of us perfected ones, one of you develops. A throwback to ancient times, an imperfect creature out of the past. In other words, an atavism. Understand? An atavism.
Atavism? Atavar? Atavism? What the devil's name was this? But he kept talking. He said,
Yet, Atavar though you are, life must be miserable for you as it is for the rest of us.
Life? Miserable?
Well, of course. Why else would you have joined with us? Oh, this is going to be a glorious night for us. But not for them.
I don't understand exactly what you...
Of course not. Things would be confused for the Atavar mind, wouldn't they? That's the infernal trouble with our minds. Things are much too clear and concise and understandable. And they bred all the confusion out of us a long time ago. Well, now they'll pay for it.
Please, tell me...
Just look at me. I've lived just a handful of years, 250.
He said that, Joan. Just believe me, 250 years.
And yet, believe me, Atavar, I'm weary unto the death we'll never know.
Death we'll never know.
What good is there in it for any of us living forever?
Living forever.
For the first 50 years of our lives, they condition us. All right. We come out with our brains filled with all knowledge of all time. Paragons all. Geniuses all. But what good does it do us? What good? Always they are in the way.
They?
Look, Atavar, you can't be so completely a fool or they would never have let you out. They are the old ones, and what is interesting and exciting in the world, they do. They and no one else. And we who came after them, after they conditioned the world against sickness, illness, age, and death, we have nothing left to do.
I see.
They hold the key positions, they, and we stand by and grind the weary years away in nothingness. A world of youth full of the want to do, and there's nothing to do. And yet there are worlds out there where we might go, but again they stand in our way and say, no, it shouldn't be done. They, the old ones, all around us, holding us down, giving us everlasting life, and then giving us nothing to live for. But this night will change it. You and I and the rest of us 24. Well, here comes your partner, and I must go with mine. Goodbye, Atavar. Good luck.
He was gone. And then the girl at my side, under her arm, a small black box.
All right, we can go now.
She took my arm. We walked along. In almost a moment, we were in a straight, broad street. Straight, shiny, glistening, bright with a light I've never seen. A quiet, empty street. Clean and bright and strange, as if in a dream. A dream? This was no dream. And then she said...
In here.
We stepped upon a platform. Part of the sidewalk. It was moving, carrying us swiftly. Swiftly down the street. An escalator? Moving sidewalk? I don't know what. Faster. Faster. Things rushing by. Strange towering buildings. And then I heard that she was talking to me.
I saw you talking to Aro. He has the easy one. We've a hard one.
250 years, he said.
Aro? Yes, that's true.
Lived 250 years?
It isn't much, I know. You must be older. Or are you? Hard to tell with an Atavar.
How old are you?
I? 400. 400 years, but not of living.
What do you mean?
You know. They, with all their years. Before we were born, they took the work of the world, and what is left for us? To wander up and down, pretty ornaments with empty lives. But they forgot one thing. They left ambition in us. And this night we'll find a place to use it.
How?
Atavar, you are a fool. You know and yet you don't know. How can we find a place for ourselves as long as they do as they please? Listen. In the very ancient world, men lived a few years and then died. And they thought that was horrible, but that was good. For when they died, there was a place for youth. Yes. One would fall in his place, and a young one took his place. Sometimes he did better than the one who had gone before, so the world progressed. But now no one falls, no one dies. And so the old ones stay and stay and stay, and we, the young ones, have no place. And when we want to make a place, the old ones say no.
The thing we were riding climbed higher. Higher. And still she talked.
We pleaded and petitioned, and they do not listen. So tonight we act. You and I, Atavar, one of 24.
Act?
By turning back the time to when men died and gave the younger ones their place.
What?
The wrong of each man died with him when he died in that old world. And so tonight we'll see that wrongs are given their belated rest.
How?
You and I, Atavar, we'll do our part. Up there.
She was pointing up. I looked up to where the building ended. In a cloud.
She sits up there. 5,000 years she's lived every day since the day science shut out death. 5,000 years, but tonight we begin to live. Here.
Into my hand, she thrust the black container. I said, "What?"
You'll do it. You. In a moment we reach the spire. She'll come out all smiles and happiness. They can be happy, the old ones who have the work. Do it then, you must.
What?
Throw it at her, and she'll be free of life, and we'll be free of life without living. You'll do it, Atavar, you will. Throw it at her.
Throw it? What? The thing in my hands? What did she mean, to free that person up there from life? In my hands. Then, suddenly I realized, some kind of explosive. She expected me to throw it at that person up in the tower. Me to kill.
You will. You will.
No. No. The word tore through my head, and with it tore away confusion. I knew. I understood. This was the world of the future, where science had doomed the death I feared. Men lived forever, and these young ones had no chance. And now they were out to kill and make their chance, and I was to kill for them, with them.
You will. You will. You will.
No.
You will.
Not
you will.
my world. Not
you will.
mine.
You will.
Go back.
You will.
I'm saying that. I
will. There she is, the matriarch. Throw it. Throw it.
I won't kill. Not I won't.
Give it to me. Give me that. Give me
No! I jumped. falling. Through the horrible space of that horrible future. Down and down and down. The glistening sides of the building rushing past me. Down. Twisting. Clawing at the air. Down and down. And then I remembered, in my arms, that explosive. I tried to throw it, but my hands tight around it. I couldn't unlock them. The ground coming up. I screamed. And there I was. Sitting next to you. In the hall where I'd been before. The politician upon the stage. My friends around me. You next to me, frightened at my cry. Tacked above me. So here it ends, Joan. Sitting there, I stepped ahead in time until a day when men had conquered death. And so somehow I'm not afraid of him, the one at my shoulder anymore. Because I think it's good that men should live, then die, and so end the evil in them and give their place to others. Tell me, Joan, do you agree?
This is Mr. O, Arch Obler. After that, are you quite content to live out your 70. Personally, I don't know. Wonders ahead, horrors ahead. I'd kind of like to be there and see them, wouldn't you? The next play? Well, it all began when I accidentally pushed the wrong button on an elevator in a department store and found myself not in the bargain basement where I expected to be, but a great deal lower than that. Let me tell you all about it after a short word from your station.
Hi, Joey. What you doing? Huh? Nah, me either. Nothing. Huh? Yeah, we could go over to the school and see what's happening there.
How much will you pay for this boy?
No, that's too far. Where we get a car?
Maybe he'll never cost you a dime.
That's...
But suppose he ends up in the welfare line or even jail.
So what are you going to do?
Then he's going to cost about $10,000.
I guess anything's better than hanging around here.
It costs the local scout council just a few dollars a year to keep a boy active in scouting.
So what are you going
We tell you this because we need your help. Scouting gets part of its support from campaigns like the United Way. All the rest of scouting support must come from people like you.
Okay, listen, I'll meet you there then.
Please, support scouting any way you can.
This is Mr. O once more. As I said, I pushed the wrong button on the wrong elevator in a department store and found myself in the sub-basement. Not the basement where the bargains are found, but that unknown basement where goods are delivered to you. This all happened in Chicago. As those of you who live in old Windy by the Lake may know, there's a great network under the city of underground tunnels that deliver merchandise long after the day people are asleep to the department stores. Well, I got to thinking, what would happen if... But as usual, that's next time. It's titled Going Down. It is later than you think.
That's it for this episode of The Horror. I hope you enjoyed it. You can join us next Saturday for another episode. In between now and then, you can find more from The Devil and Mr. O, past episodes of The Horror, all the other podcasts, and thousands of other old-time radio episodes, all at relicradio.com. You donate through the website if you'd like to help support this and all of the shows. It's how this show keeps coming to you every week. Thank you, as always, to those who have helped out. Thanks for joining me today. Talk to you again next Saturday with another episode of The Horror.
Strange Tales.
RelicRadio.com presents tales of the strange and bizarre, the weird and the wicked. Stories not necessarily of the supernatural, but of the unnatural. Join us now for Strange Tales, featuring radio drama at its most mysterious and unusual. Strange Tales. Thanks for joining me this Sunday. We're going to take another peek inside the inner sanctum this week. A series that aired from January of 1941 to October of 1952. It produced over 500 episodes. Our story today is an early one. It's titled Dead Reckoning. This one aired January 18th, 1942.
Welcome again to the inner sanctum. I'm Raymond, your host. Come in, won't you, and sit down? Well, very nice to see so many of you here. People who believe in black magic, haunting, and ghosts. Huh? Oh, you don't believe in them? Well, our story tonight is about some sailors who didn't believe in them either. But it didn't take them very long to find out that such things did exist, that they were wrong, dead wrong.
Inner Sanctum Mysteries brings you one of Broadway's and radio's best-known stars, Arthur Vinton. Tonight, Mr. Vinton appears as Captain Bates in Dead Reckoning, an original radio drama by Robert Newman. When you have that all-in, down-and-out feeling, you may be a victim of irregularity. Then you can help restore your usual pep and vigor by taking one or two Carter's Little Liver Pills with a glass of water when you go to bed tonight. Carter's Little Liver Pills help you feel better by providing remarkable two-way relief. Relief you cannot expect from a simple laxative alone. Here's what happens. First, Carter's Little Liver Pills wake up the flow of a vital digestive juice, and they do this usually within 30 minutes after taking. Second, they help restore regularity. It's this two-way relief that works so fast and so differently to help you feel up on your toes again. So don't go on feeling way below par when you can get this kind of relief with Carter's Little Liver Pills. Get a box from your druggist now, only 25 cents.
And now I think we're ready. Ready to begin as weird and eerie a tale as ever made a sailor wish he'd never seen salt water. A story of something that came out of the fog to drag men to death in watery graves. So, if your nerves are good and you're not afraid of nightmares, then turn down the lights and listen to Dead Reckoning. The great banks which lie off our eastern seaboard, perilous waters, shrouded throughout most of the year by heavy fog. Slipping through the thick gray pall, with foghorn wailing like a lost soul, is a small tramp steamer. It is late afternoon. There are two men on the bridge. Suddenly, the door of the wheelhouse opens. Afternoon, Mr. Ross. Good afternoon, Captain. Weather still is pretty dirty, eh? It's thicker than ever. You got lookouts posted? Yes, one man in the bow and one aloft. Good. I've been sailing these waters for 20 years, and I'm never really happy till I'm off the bank. I know, sir. Gets the fog. Never knowing what's ahead of you. What's likely to come out of it. Something's ahead, sir.
Just off the port bow.
What? Where?
There it is, a schooner. Almost dead ahead.
Put your helm over hard.
Hard over it is. He's still coming with... There, we're just clear astern.
Another half minute, we'd have cut her in two. Ahoy, you lubbers! What the thunder's the matter with you? Why aren't you sounding your foghorn?
Something does seem to be the matter, sir. There's no one at the wheel.
Yes, you're right. No one at the wheel, no one on deck, and... Look there. A distress signal. We'd better look into this. Half speed astern.
Half speed astern, sir. Half speed astern. What do you think it is?
I don't know. But she looks to me as if she's been abandoned. Maybe you'd better lower a boat, Mr. Ross.
There is someone aboard it, sir. Look, just coming up from below.
Great Scott, he's dived overboard. He's swimming this way. Up forward, Mr. Ross, and heave him a line. And when you get him on board, bring him up here.
Aye, aye. There he is, Captain. Kind of rocky. I banged up a bit before we can haul him on board.
Take it easy there.
I'm all right. Listen, Captain. Get away from here fast.
Get away? What about the schooner you jumped off? The rest of the crew?
Dead. Every last man.
Dead?
I'm the only one left alive.
Dead of what?
That thing got them. One after another. That gray thing from the sea. If I hadn't locked myself in the galley, it would have...
What are you talking about? Oh, I'm sure you'd better lower a boat. Take a look, see, Mr. Ross. Aye, aye, sir.
No, no. No, you fools. Don't you realize that it's still there? On the schooner. He wanted to follow you back here, kill you off one by one, too. Don't you realize?
Oh, here, catch him on. Right, sir. I've got him. Good. All right, inside here to my cabin. All right. Put him in on my bunk, yes?
There we are. Poor devil. We were shot. Think he's out of his head, sir?
I don't know. It might be all imagination. On the other hand,
we should investigate. I'll take a boat over and see what I can see. Get boys, man. Let her run. Around the stern.
Here's her name, sir. The Sea Spray.
Uh-huh. Grab that line. Make it fast, Johnson.
Aye, aye, sir.
That's the ticket. Now hold it steady, man, while Garson and I climb on board.
Huh? You want me to come with you, sir?
Two of us will be able to search her that much more quickly. What are you afraid of?
I don't know, sir. I mean, nothing, sir.
Come on.
She still got all her sail set, sir. And everything battened down, just as if there was nothing wrong.
Ahoy, anybody about? Ahoy! Well, let's go below.
What's the need of that, sir? If there was anybody down there, wouldn't they answer?
Suppose they're sick. Suppose it's the plague or something.
Well, okay, sir.
Everything's shipshape down here, too.
Closed, careful. Still under all the bunks?
That must be the galley. Take a look at that, Garson.
Nothing in here either. Pot still on the stove like the cook had just been fixing supper. Couldn't it be the fire, sir?
No sign of it anywhere. Couldn't have been a leak. A crew taking her to the boat because they thought she was sinking. She's not riding as if she was waterlogged.
Let's get out of here, sir.
What's the hurry? What are you so jumpy about?
Jumpy? Who's jumpy? It's just that... Well, suppose I am. A crew don't abandon ship out in the middle of the banks for no reason.
No, that's true. They don't. I'd give plenty to know what that reason was. Well, okay, Garson, come on. Let's get back to the ship. Make sure the boat's in place and everything's stowed properly before we get on the way, man.
Aye, sir, we will. Oh, there you are, Mr. Ross. Well, what'd you find out?
Nothing, sir.
Nothing? Now, what do you mean?
Just that, sir. We didn't find out a blessed thing. We looked her over from stem to stern. Everything was shipshape. There didn't seem to be a single reason why they should have abandoned her. But there wasn't a soul on board.
Strange. Mighty strange. Well, let's go inside to see if our friends come through yet.
Yes, sir. He's trying to sit up.
Oh, here, now let me help you. Yeah. Are you sure you're all right now?
Yes, sir. Sorry I keeled over that way. I guess I was in worse shape than I thought I was. I'm sorry I spoke to you like that.
Oh, now, forget it. What's your name?
Banning, sir. Joe Banning.
Banning, eh?
Excuse me, sir, but are we underway now?
Yes, just got started. Why?
Well, it's the schooner we're away from. Then we're away from that cursed ship. The happier I'll be. If you hadn't come along when you did, I'd have to spend one more night on board that ship.
Easy, Banning, easy. There's nothing to worry about now.
The world began 2 nights ago. We've been out on the bank. We were fishing for about 3 weeks by then. We were just starting back to port when the water went funny.
Funny? How?
Turned salty and red. Red as blood.
Rust. Corrosion in your tank.
That's what we thought at the time. But that night, men started disappearing.
Disappearing?
Captain Bassett himself was the first. I left him at the wheel. I went below to get some grub. When I came back on deck, he was gone.
Gone? Gone where?
We didn't know. We put about, went back looking for him. We never found him. Stevens, the mate, took over and took the next trick at the wheel. When it was time to change watches, we found that he was gone, too.
What are you getting at?
The truth. Well, we figured we could still make port even though we were short-handed. Anyway, we were pretty sure we'd be off the bank, out of the fog belt by morning, so that if we blew a distress signal, it would be seen. But in the morning, there was still fog all around us. It was like we couldn't get away from it. And another man was gone.
Now, look here, Fanny.
Just a second, Mr. Ross. Let him finish. And that's the way it went? One man after another disappearing with no way of telling where they'd gone or what had happened to them?
Not exactly, sir. 2 more men went that day. Another that night. That left only 2 of us, Ross and myself. We were near crazy by that time. Trying to stick together. But we had to have someone at the wheel and we had to weed. I went down to the galley to get some hardtack. While I was down there, I heard Larson scream. I went back to the bridge. There he was fighting with it.
What?
That's just it. I couldn't really see it. Larson let out that one yell. Then went backward over the rail. I stood there staring. And all of a sudden I felt something. Something soft and slimy trying to take hold of me. I dived back down to the galley. Slammed the door.
Wait a minute. You mean...
something had come out of the fog and boarded the schooner. Something you couldn't see. It got all the rest of the crew, and if you hadn't come along when you did, it would have gotten me, too.
Let's see. How long has it been since you had anything to eat, Fanning? Since you had any real rest?
About 3 days.
Well, now, suppose you see the cook. Have him give you something hot and then go forward and get some sleep, eh? We'll talk about this again in the morning.
You don't believe me, sir, do you? You think I'm out of my head?
Oh, now, Fanning. You run along, and like I said, we'll talk about this some more tomorrow, eh?
Yes, sir.
You don't believe him, do you, sir?
You mean you do?
Well, I don't know. But I won't be sorry when we get off the bank out of this fog tomorrow. Good morning, Captain.
Morning, Mr. Ross. Well, good morning, Banning. So, you feel well enough today to stand a trick at the wheel, eh?
Yes, sir. I'm no deadhead. I don't mind working my passage.
Good. Fine. Had breakfast yet, Mr. Ross?
No, sir. The fog's still so thick, I thought I'd better stay on the bridge till you came topside. Funny thing, I thought we'd be clear of the banks by now.
Me too. Well, I asked the cook to bring some coffee up here to us. And later on, if the weather starts clearing... Oh, set it down here, cook.
Aye, aye, sir.
Anything the matter? What are you waiting for?
Just for you to try the coffee, sir.
Try it? What's wrong with it?
What is wrong with it? It tastes terrible. What did you put in it? I didn't put anything in it, sir. It's the water. It's gone funny.
Funny?
Turned kind of red and queer looking.
Captain, that's what happened on the sea spray just
Now,
before...
quiet, Banning. It's probably just rust, cook.
Is it, sir? Does rust taste salty?
I say it's rust. And I don't want you to mention this to the crew.
Very well, sir. So how are you going to keep him from finding it out for himself, sir? Oh, I almost forgot, sir. Sparks asked me to give you this.
Oh, yes, the radio check on our position. Check it with the chart, will you, Mr. Ross?
Okay. Just finished taking the log reading and working it out, and Great God. This doesn't make sense.
What doesn't?
Look here. Here's where I figured we should be. Clear of the bank.
Well?
And here's our radio position, still in the middle of the bank. Right where we were yesterday.
What? But that's impossible. We've done a good 200 miles since yesterday. Of course, that's just by dead reckoning.
Dead reckoning. That's just what it is.
Banning.
You fools, I warned you, but you didn't believe me. The water turning to blood, the ship sailing around and round in the park, unable to get away. That's what happened on the sea spray. That's what's happening to us. Don't you realize what that means? That thing from the sea. It's here on board this ship.
So, the thing from the sea, the thing that can't be seen that came out of the fog and dragged an entire crew to its doom has taken possession of another ship. Will the same thing that happened to the sea spray happen again? In just a moment, we'll find out. Meanwhile,
don't sit back and envy the life of the party all that pep and ginger. You may suffer a headachy, sluggish feeling due to irregularity, but thousands of others do too. And many of them shake it off by taking Carter's Little Liver Pills. Try them tonight according to the directions on the package. Then tomorrow morning, see if you don't feel you can lick your weight in Wildcat. Here's the sound medical reason why Carter's Little Liver Pills are so effective. They can give you two-way relief for sluggishness, something you cannot expect from a simple laxative. First, Carter's Little Liver Pills wake up the flow of the vital digestive juice, and they start to do this usually within 30 minutes after taking. Second, they help restore regularity. It's this two-way relief that helps you feel better.
well, how are you feeling now? Have you had a chance to catch your breath? Wipe the cold perspiration off your brows? Oh? Oh, what you've heard so far hasn't bothered you, huh? Wait. Just a moment later now, and the three men are still on the bridge. Standing at the wheel, Ross and Captain Bates staring at him incredulously. All right, Cherry, you're mad, Banning, out of your head.
So you still don't believe me, eh? Did the water turn into blood or not?
Of course it didn't. That's nonsense. It's just rust, corrosion in the tank.
And the fact that we're still in the same place you were yesterday after sailing for 24 hours?
Our figuring was just off, that's all. Dead reckoning's never completely accurate.
All right, Captain. That's the way you want it, fine. But I wonder what you're going to say when the men start disappearing.
That's enough, Banning. Who else is on watch, Mr. Ross? Who's the lookout?
Ready, sir.
I'll go get him. Tell him to come up here and take Banning's place at the wheel.
Aye, sir. Ready, hi there. Hey.
Now, as for you, Banning, you'd better get back to your bunk and lie down. Yes, you're sick. Mr. Ross should never let you stand a watch.
Oh, I'm sick, am I? It's all my imagination. Okay, Captain. Let's say you're right about the water. Our position. What about the sea spray? What happened to my shipmates, the rest of the crew?
I don't know, and I can't worry about that right now. That's something for the Coast Guard to look into. But I'm not going to have you scaring the wits out of my crew. So if you say one more word about this to anyone...
All right, Captain. I won't. I've got a hunch I won't have to.
What do you mean?
Nothing except that...
But he's not there. He's gone.
Gone? Gone where?
I don't know. reported here at 8 bells, went up to the bow to relieve Blake. That's the last anyone saw of him.
You don't think Ellie, the postal?
No, sir. He must have dropped off to sleep or something. Fallen overboard.
Fallen overboard. That's what we thought on the sea spray when Captain Bassett disappeared. But he didn't fall. He was dragged overboard by that thing.
Will you shut up, Banning?
I won't shut up. What can I say to make you believe me? I tell you it's here on board this ship, and it's going to get the rest of us one by one unless... There's only one thing to do. Take to the boat. Set fire to the ship and abandon it.
What? No, I know you're mad. Get up forward and stay there.
All right, Captain. I'll go. But remember, I warned you. Anything that happens from now on is on your conscience.
Six bells and all's well. Keep where she goes, Garson. Southwest. Aye, sir. Southwest.
Blasted fog. Still as thick as ever. That's the ship's length ahead.
Oh, sir. Begging your pardon, sir. Yes? Shouldn't we be off the banks out of the fog by now? I know, Garson. We evidently made a mistake in our reckoning. According to the radio compass bearing we got this morning, we're still around the middle of the banks. Won't be clear until tomorrow.
I see, sir. Oh, by the way, Garson, what are the men saying about Smitty's ship steering that way?
Why, nothing, sir. Except...
Yes?
Well, sir, they can't understand how he could have fallen overboard with the sea so calm. And then there's this here business of the water turning funny. They're feeling kind of jumpy about that, too. Yeah, well, what's that?
Looks like a small craft fishing boat. There she is off the starboard. Sailing parallel to us. A schooner.
Who's up at the bows? Look out.
Blake, sir.
Well, what's the matter with him? Is he asleep? Why didn't he sing out when he saw her?
I don't know, sir.
Captain Bates. Captain Bates.
I thought I told you to stay below, Benny.
You did, but that's Schooner. Do you recognize her?
Recognize her? She does look familiar. Great Scott. It's the sea spray.
What? Can't be. We left it drifting a good 200 miles from here.
You only think you left.
Besides, when we left her yesterday, she was deserted. But now, she just sounded a foghorn. They're men aboard her. You can see them.
Yes, men. But what kind of men? Look at them through your glass, Mr. Ross.
Just what I'm doing. Good Lord. Their faces. They're all green, bloated, swollen. Why, they look as if they were dead.
Look. They are dead. Drowned men come back out of the sea, sailing on and on through the fog, following us and waiting until...
One more word out of you, Banning, and I'll put you in irons. Give me that glass, Mr. Ross.
Too late, sir. The schooner is gone.
Well, come on forward with me and let's see what's wrong with Blake.
Yes.
I'm coming, too.
Me, too. Now, what's that? Go on, watch, Garson. Stay at the wheel.
You stay on course. If anything has happened to Blake, I want to know it. And the rest of the crew will want to know it, too.
Well, all right, then. Come on.
I don't like this, sir. We may be in trouble if Garson won't take orders.
Yeah, I have a hunch we're all getting jumpy out of hand. It's all right. There's Blake leaning against the rail.
Blake? Look again.
It's not Blake. It's Smitty. And look at him, sir. He's dead. Springing wet and with seaweed in his hair. He was drowned, but he came back from the sea just like my mates on the sea spray.
Blast you, Banning.
I warned you, but you wouldn't listen. Now will you abandon ship, take to the boat?
Now, I've had enough of this. Enough of you and your warning. Grab him, Garson, Mr. Ross.
I won't go through it again. I can't. Having one man after another go over the side track to his captain. I'm doing it.
Banning, no!
He went overboard. Why, that's it. If he'd rather commit suicide than stay on board this ship, we're not going to stay either. Come on, men. Report. We're abandoning ship.
What? You can't do that.
Who's going to stop us?
We are. Quick, Mr. Ross. The guns in my cabin.
Guns, is it? No, you don't. Stay, men. I'll take Bate here. Leave him there in the hatch. If this blasted ship means so much, we'll let him free on it. We'll take him to the boat.
Captain. Captain Bates.
Oh, yeah. Why, what happened?
Don't you remember? The men, after Banning jumped overboard, they went crazy.
Yes. They swarmed all over us. Did they really go? Abandon ship?
Every last man.
We're all alone, just the two of us.
Help me up, will you, Mr. Ross? I'm still a little shaky.
Of course. There you are. They didn't take the life raft, sir. We could probably get one of them over the side, and...
You mean you want to abandon ship, too?
Well, not exactly, but after all, the two of us couldn't get her into port.
Is that the reason, or is it because you're afraid? Because you're starting to believe in that thing from the sea also?
About half and half. I mean, well, after all, everything that's happened so far, finding the sea spray deserted, Smitty and Blake disappearing, then Smitty coming back, drowned.
Very well, Mr. Ross. I'll help you launch a life raft, and if you like, you can go. But I'm staying with my ship.
Well, in that case, I'll stay with you, sir.
Good man. I kind of thought you would.
What's our first move?
Up to the radio room. We'll send out an SOS. Ask for help.
Right, sir. Even if you do think there's some explanation for everything that's happened, the ship is kind of spooky now, isn't it? Fog. Everything's so quiet. Dead, like... What's that?
Engine room telegraph. Someone rang for half speed ahead. Why, we're moving, getting underway.
Who? There's no one on board but the two of us.
Maybe one of the engineers didn't go. Stayed below.
No one stayed, I tell you. No one. There's just the two of us on board and... Foghorn.
Mr. Ross, I don't like this.
You don't like it,
Someone's coming. They're heading for the bridge. Can you see who or what?
Yes. Banning. It can't be. He jumped overboard. He's dead. Yes, Smitty was dead, too, but he came back. And...
Where are you going? I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to see if a corpse can fight back. Captain, wait, I...
Look out, Captain. He's got a gun. I've got it.
Well, oh, you're not dead, Banning. And it was you that was behind all this.
I don't know what you mean.
Now, you listen to me, Banning. Two of my men have been killed. The rest of them are out there in that fog someplace. Either you talk, tell me what you were up to, how you did it, or I'll let you have it right between the eyes. You wouldn't dare. Oh, I wouldn't, eh? Give me that gun, Ross.
No, don't. All right, I'll tell you. It wasn't me that was behind it. It was Abner Dean.
Abner Dean?
Yes. He thought up this idea. Scaring a crew into abandoning ship, then picking it up and claiming salvage.
Salvage? Oh, of course. Why didn't I think of that? But how did it work?
There wasn't anybody on the sea spray when I boarded her. Of course not. As soon as we spotted you, Dean and the rest of the crew got into the dory, pulled away into the fog until after you'd searched the schooner. Meanwhile, I had two jobs to do. I came from the binnacle to throw your compass off so you'd sail in a circle and drop a chemical into the water tanks that would turn the water red.
And what about Smitty and Blake?
I killed him. I dropped Smitty's body over the side with a rope tied to it so I could haul it up again. This lake was turned loose.
Are you cold-blooded murdering?
Fog on it. It's the sea spray. They're cruising around waiting for me to pick them up. And there they are. Get ahead.
So we'll have Ross. Hurry, we're heading straight for him. If we don't gear up, we'll hit him.
We run them down. Do you think?
Yes. I'm afraid so, Ben. The propellers must have gotten those that didn't go down with the schooner. But maybe it's better that way. They say that drowning's easier than hanging, as you'll probably find out for yourself. Yeah, what's that? You knew there was no such thing all the time? Of course you did. But just the same, if I were you, I wouldn't try to stand up just yet. With your knees knocking together like that, you might find it a bit difficult, huh? But I do hope you enjoyed tonight's story. Glad you'll be with us again next week at this same time. And if in the meantime you should happen to take an ocean trip, and if while you're out you should run into heavy weather, and while you're standing alone on the deck at night, something should reach out of the darkness and grab hold of you. But don't worry. It won't be the thing from the sea. It'll just be one of the other passengers trying to find his way to the rail. Oh, yes. If you haven't done so, be sure to read this month's Inner Sanctum mystery, Footsteps Behind Her, by Mitchell Wilson.
Will you wake up tomorrow morning feeling chipper and spry? Or will you crawl out of bed with that sluggish, headachy, what's-the-use feeling due to irregularity? Well, try this. Just before you go to bed tonight, take 1 or 2 Carter's Little Liver Pills with a glass of water. Then see if tomorrow morning isn't rosy and bright. See if your usual pep and cheerfulness aren't back. There's a sound medical reason why Carter's bring you these remarkable results. Carter's Little Liver Pills provide two-way relief. Relief you cannot expect from a simple laxative alone. First, they wake up the flow of a vital digestive juice. And they start to do this usually within 30 minutes after taking. Second, they help restore regularity. It's this two-way relief that helps you feel better so fast and so differently.
Good night. Pleasant dreams, huh?
This is the Blue Network.
That's our strange tale for this week. I hope you enjoyed today's story. You can find more from Inner Sanctum, past episodes of Strange Tales, and thousands of other old-time radio episodes at the website relicradio.com. You'll find our Shoutcast stream there, and you can donate through the website if you'd like to help support this and all of the shows. It's how this show keeps coming to you every week, and advertising free. Thanks to those who have helped out. Thanks for joining me today. Talk to you again next Sunday with another episode of Relic Radio's Strange Tales.